Towards where Davy Rogers is up. Rogers swings the left. Oh, Davy Rogers! What a goal by Davy Rogers!
Not one person in this stadium seen this goal at half-time. You can see the guards behind the goal at the main stand. They will be investigating Shelbourne for robbery. They have absolutely mugged Trinity United here at Tottenham.
And find the goal! Harry Wood, the jersey's off. 6 minutes to go. Look at the bad one. What a goal that is!
Hi folks, welcome to another LOI Talk. Is that time of the week that we all wait for the evening right before the games. So there were games on Friday and also Monday, so there's plenty to go through. I have Cornell, our resident commentator, John, that has been with us at least 2 or 3 times, and I'm very welcome. I'm very happy to have him back. And talking of return, we have Pedro Rodrigues, who was never in a LOI Talk, but he was in my own podcast at the beginning of the year. So Pedro, you are very welcome back to this show.
My pleasure. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Vitor, for the invite. I'm looking forward. This is always something that I like to talk about and discuss. League of Ireland. Yes.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So, guys, if you are into this sort of topic, football, not only League of Ireland, we can even discuss briefly the game yesterday. Not only because I'm a Spurs fan and I'm delighted. I think there's a lot to talk about it. So, we can see Cornell's reaction. He's over the moon for different reasons. Maybe some of us share his mood, so some of us not. But that's football, isn't it? So, if you are into this, stay with us for the next 90 minutes or so. If you know someone who is not following us and you think that they can benefit from our insights, please share. And if you haven't subscribed, I'll be very pleased if you can do that. So I can see already some excitement on the chat box, so feel free to use it. It's there for this show to be interactive. And let's make it a two-way conversation. So we'll start discussing what happened in the last week in the League of Ireland. So I would like to get your insights, guys. And Pedro, feel free to jump in here. So I just put the games on the screen and we take it from there. And the audience can also participate and make sure that this is dynamic. So first game I would pick is Shamrock. They traveled all the way to Waterford to return to Dublin with 3 points against a team that was in a big momentum. I'll start with you, John. What are your thoughts on this Rovers victory?
Rovers stronger and stronger by the week, quite frankly. Now, look, they got maybe a little bit lucky with a poor goalkeeping error from it wasn't Brad Wade. I think Brad Wade is actually on the bench, so it's the new Waterford keeper. They're getting really worse. They're just getting better and better. Michael Noonan, is on fire at the moment, statistically wise. I suppose they have been quite, impressive finishes, but you could say, mistakes from the goalkeeper. But yeah, as for Waterford, they're doing okay. They've had a bit of a new manager bounce, but maybe perhaps now look, they're up against Rovers. It's probably the best team in the league, but maybe perhaps their kind of honeymoon period now with John Coleman is ended. I guess look, from a Cork City perspective, you want to see Waterford be doing as poorly as possible. Now we have to stay biased, of course. But yeah, it was an interesting game. Good game, I'd say. 4 goals in the game. You're never going to scoff at that. And I really do think Shamrock Rovers are going to go on and do this job now. I think they're just looking impeccable at the moment. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks very much.
Cornell, I remember last week that we were quite impressed with Shamrock Rovers' form. They didn't disappoint us in Waterford.
No, they didn't disappoint. Outstanding win again. This is the form that Shamrock Rovers are in right now, and they're showing their true quality and they're showing their true class this season. We're seeing fantastic performances from Graham Burke and Jack Byrne. I think the first goal that Shamrock Rovers conceded was a little bit unlucky due to the goalkeeping era of Ed McGinty. But I think once they went a goal down, they didn't let their heads go up in shame. They just got on with the game and showed their quality and became victorious at the end. So Shamrock Rovers have been in outstanding form this season, and they are where they are because of the winning mentality that they've shown and the message that they are sending, that they want to really do well this season and really be up there with the very best.
Pedro, you spent some time here in Ireland, so you are familiar with those two teams. Have any comments in regard to this game here?
I mean, it's as expected. So Shamrock is in for the title, and they fell to Waterford with the mission, and there was mission done at the end. So as John mentioned, obviously there's been a change as well on the manager side in Waterford, and obviously that has been a bit of a rocky boat for the last season. While on the other side you have a team made up from Stephen, maybe 7-8 seasons if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it's a completely different setup, and obviously they I think at the end will get the title for sure.
Now, a game that was, as you may imagine, heartbreaking for me, to say the least. St. Patrick's, they beat Cork last minute, John. It was really devastating, especially because I was feeling ill just on a personal level, and I saw Cork was winning 2-1. I felt I could be healed with that result, and I end up going to bed with nausea after this game, and no wonder, John, no?
Absolutely, you're dead right. Like, it was a real gut-wrenching one. Look, I actually did end up, I was in Dublin for Cork City game the weekend, the women's one, but unfortunately wasn't up for the men's. But yeah, it was just so disappointing to be following on the game and see that, you know, Shawnee gets that penalty to put us 2-1 up, and despite that, we still find a way to lose. It's really gut-wrenching stuff, but I suppose it is kind of typical of this season. I think Cork City are putting in quite good performances. All in all, you know, I think we're putting in quite decent performances, but we're just not able to get. I think there's a statistic. I could be wrong, and if someone wants to correct me here, work away. I think we've conceded 13 goals from winning positions so far this season. You know, like, what a crazy statistic. And unfortunately, the reality is, it's harsh, and we might be playing okay, and we have lots of injuries. But the reality is, if we keep going with that kind of form, we are going to go down. You know, even whether that's 10th place or 9th place, you know, it's going to be whoever we face in the playoff is just going to be ruthless. So, yeah, we need to really up our game, but we'll talk about that more later. But from a St. Pat's perspective, you know, they might have wanted to have got a bit of a more convincing win, I would say. Mason Media, I believe, was on the score sheet, so that's good to see in his kind of final weeks of Pats. But I think a lot of their fans were actually quite disappointed with the performance as well, that they only just about scraped past such a struggling team. You know, because it's not like Pats, to my knowledge anyway, have a whole load of injuries at the moment. So, yeah, Stephen Kenny, look, at the end of the 3 points is 3 points, and Cork City, I believe, are always a formidable side. But, yeah, Pats would want to maybe, you know, kind of watch themselves, certainly, because they seem to be struggling as of recent. But yeah, thanks very much. That's
Cornell, again, I recall you saying that Cork could upset Pats, and they always did, but in the end, they couldn't.
Yeah, they were very unlucky not to win, not to draw, take a point out of this game. Cork City gave everything that they had towards St. Patrick's and gave their hard working quality, but they fell short, and St. Patrick's came up with a win and came with the 3 points. But St. Patrick's just showed that they were the better side on the day. But I think Cork City will be very, very upset that they couldn't get a point out of it, or they could have gone on and win, despite the the return of Sean Maguire was a massive boost, even though it's going to take him a couple of more games for him to get to be his best. But we're seeing the very best of Daniels as well. I think if you can get Daniels being more ruthless and getting on the goals once more, I think we're going to see a difference with Daniels. I think in the summer, just get some new signings, and I think the new manager as well, Gerard Nash, I think will definitely get the best out of the squad as well. And I think when you've got next generations like Cathal Sullivan, who could be on his way out of Cork City, despite that Crystal Palace has actually bidded 400k for him. But I think at the end of the day, I think St. Pat's were the better team on the day from start to finish, but Cork City really gave everything. So yeah, I think they were very unlucky not to get a point, but it's very gutted for them.
Pedro, it seems that there is a pattern on Cork City that we are winning, and then in the last 10 minutes we don't manage to keep the win. Can you recognize some error, mistake, some behavior from a coach perspective on the Cork squad?
Yeah, I mean, also, I think there was just a change also on the manager side here for this game, if I'm not mistaken. And so you guys correct me if I'm wrong. But also, Cork City is a very young squad. I think the average age for the players at Cork City is about 21, maybe something like that. So it's a very young squad, and obviously then on the other side you have. If it's surprising a team that I actually thought that they will be doing much better than they actually are. I think Pats would have the potential to be up there together with Shamrock, but it's not really happening, is it? Even though they have probably one of the best managers that the League of Ireland ever seen on their side. So. It's for Cork City, I think it's just not happening. It's just a matter of experience, and obviously I think also unlucky somehow. So I think at the end, it would be great if Cork would turn this around and would find a way of staying in the Premier for the next, or for the first division Premier Division for next season, because I think, like Cornell said, this generation, if they manage to say, then this kind of generation will be playing on a different setup for the future. I think that's beneficial for everyone and for the club as well.
Now, a result that for me was a surprise, especially given Galway's form up to date. I know they are going down, but still, I would never expect that they will concede to Sligo at home, especially at home. So those are massive 3 points for the team at the bottom, in my opinion. John.
Absolutely, yeah. It was a huge game. I do believe Sligo are underrated, to be honest with you. They've got quality players like Jake Doyle Hayes was one of the signings of the season that really kind of took my eye. And then you've got Will Fitzgerald up front, Keane Kavanagh, John Mahon, I think is a terrific centre half. So that's why I worry when I see Sligo, underneath the necks of Cork City, by Cork City's tail, because I do believe they are genuinely a good side. And yeah, it was a decent result for them. So no, I think Sligo is certainly a team to be watching out for. You know what I mean? Yeah, I would definitely say that.
Cornell, we have been praising Galway week after week, but I'd say at least the last 2-3 games they didn't really meet our expectations, and last weekend that was certainly the case.
Yeah, I've been praising Galway United so much as a team this season. Despite them starting the new League of Ireland season unbeaten. Obviously we've been praising Moses Dyer, who's got 8 goals this season, in 15 games this season, and they've just been the best team that to watch this season. But they fell short against Saloka Rovers, who's been in trouble at the moment. John Russell's job being on the line, and we're seeing outstanding performances from Owen Elding and Jay Hackey. So, it is very, very difficult. But Galway United, a team that's been in good form under John Carfield, who's really instructed how to get the best out of the players and how to get them, improved and much better than how they are already. But I think Salogo will be very, very happy with the performance that they put in and getting the 3 points, which is very important for them, especially with the lack of squad depth that they haven't got at the moment. But I think Galway United, will feel that they were undone, losing that game, because their momentum that they've been having this season, I think, has had a real huge impact. And I think Moses Dyer as well, who's also been in outstanding red hot form this season with 8 goals, like I said. And I think we're seeing the very, very best of Moses Dyer this season, but we didn't get a chance to see that against Salogo Rovers. So Galway fell short, but I think they'll bounce back, and I think they'll carry on and kick on with their season.
I'm curious from a psychological point of view, Pedro. Do you think that the fact that Sligo is at the bottom of the table, they can be somehow underestimated, and then they use that for their own advantage on the pitch?
You mean from their side or from the opponent's side?
Maybe for both. Yeah, let's say for both. Yeah. How does that play when it comes to the psychological aspect of the game? The fact that Sligo is at the bottom.
I mean, it depends on whatever the manager is saying to them, really, in the dressing room, and what kind of messages pass it on to them, and what kind of mentality have they been feeding from. Because when you are something like 8-10 points from the next level, and you running after literally running after nothing. So it's maybe they playing for pride, I think, and I do agree. Sligo is a really good setup and a really good team, and I'm quite surprised, to be quite honest, that they are in the position they are. But that's just go to show you how competitive this division is, and there are a couple of teams, I would say at least 6-7 teams on this division that have really good structures, and for the last 10, 8, 9 years, have put a lot of work and effort and a lot of money into the structures, and just shows that it's so competitive that the littles will make the difference at the end of the day. And I think we started seeing that. I mean, you just look at Galway United, for example. And Galway United has probably two men in Ireland that know more about Irish football than anyone else. And that's the manager, John Caulfield, and it's Ollie Organ. And many people forgot that Ollie is at Galway United, and he's an absolute legend of the League of Ireland, and he knows the League of Ireland pretty much like no one else. So it's very tough. I think it's very tough, and I think for teams like Cork City and Sligo Rovers, now they look up and see, okay, we are way too far from Galway. They just it's playing for pride, but at the end they have to get to the finish line, and that's just the shows, and you'll see that on the next games how professional they are, because they will keep trying to at least put points on the board until the end of the season.
Now, this draw between two, what I would call underdogs, Drogheda and Derry, was it a good result for both, or was somehow penalizing some of the teams, John, in your estimation?
It's a good question. I would say it's a good result for both, in the sense that it's two teams like right at the top of the table doing quite well. It's very tight up there at the moment. I think there is now 5 points between Shamrock Rovers and Derry have a chance to widen that to 2 points now tonight. But it's quite tight up there. So a loss at this stage really would put you back. So I suppose in that sense, the draw is quite good. But look, at the end of the day, I'm sure both sides might also look at it as 2 points dropped. It's two teams that have performed well this season, particularly Drogheda. I mean, Drogheda do not have a budget that should be up as high as they are, you know. Like Derry have put a lot of investment into the club over the last few years. And obviously Tiernan Lynch did very well above in the north when he was managing there. So I do, you know, I think both sides can be happy with how they've done so far this season, and can be somewhat content maybe with that result. But you know, I suppose both sides can also be disappointed in some ways as well when you look at it from a budgetary perspective, and the fact that Drogheda were at home. I mean, Drogheda has made that ground a fortress this season. They really have, you know. So yeah, it was an important game. I think in the last reverse fixture, I think Drogheda actually beat Derry 3-1, if I can remember rightly. So yeah, it was probably a result that both sides will take. You know, Derry particularly being away and they lost at home last time. So yeah, it's a decent one for both sides really. And yeah, no, that's about it. Like we'll just have to see how I could honestly, and I kind of hope I'm wrong because it's nice to see an underdog up there, but I could see Drogheda tailing off as the season goes on, if I'm honest, as fatigue and injuries come into the equation, because they've kind of avoided that to this stage. But for Derry, honestly, I think they could be onwards and upwards. Like they just seem to be progressing and nearly getting better every week under Lynch. They had a bit of a rocky start, but they just seem to be progressing at a nice steady pace. So yeah, we'll just have to see how it goes really.
Coran, your perspective on this draw between Drogheda and Derry?
I think it was a very valuable point. Derry City, a team that I've barely criticised this season, and Tiernan Lynch as the manager as well, on his style of play and his formation and how he wants to line the players up and how Derry City are going to get back to their absolute best. But the draw was on the cards. But we're talking about two teams. We're talking about one underdog team, and we're talking about Derry City, who basically were in the title race last season under Rory Wiggins, and who basically have got a brand new manager now of Tiernan Lynch, who's trying to adapt and try and get used to how the League of Ireland is, despite him coming from the Northern Irish League as well. But this result, I think, you look at Drogheda now, as we're talking about them as the club that they are. They have been the talk of this season. You know, their outstanding performances have been very, very fantastic. You're seeing injured players return back from injury. You're seeing outstanding performances from Conor Keeley as well. Congratulations to his brother on promotion. Hope his brother does well in the League of Ireland, in the League One playoff final. Sorry for the error. And I think for me, if Drogheda can carry on that sort of outstanding performance that they're doing, I think they'll be all right. Yeah, I don't think they'll drop off, because I think that's kind of like underestimating the underdog team. And I think, like, look, I've always said I will not underestimate Drogheda, because Drogheda United are obviously soon going to be in playing European football as soon as you know it. They're getting players back after they were missing certain key players out of their team. We're seeing outstanding performances from their goalkeeper, Denilson, who has been in very, very great form this season, no doubt about it. You're seeing Quinn, you're seeing Conor Kane and Keeley, as I said, outstanding performances. Owen Lame as well has been brilliant as well. So I think a draw was the very valuable point. Yeah, Derry are trying to do what they do. We're seeing some sort of improvement with Derry, but Drogheda, I think, can still have a chance of being up there, and I think they'll try and see if they can fight for European places this season. So I won't rule them out as yet of probably trying to finish higher, but look, it's still early days still, so let's wait and see what happens.
Pedro, after this draw, How much do you think Drogheda and Derby can please their own supporters this season?
I mean, at least for what Drogheda concerns, I mean, they should be. I think they're delighted for the season they're doing. I mean, the club has suffered a massive improvement over the last years. I remember going to Drogheda about 8 years ago, and if I look at this table now, and if I look at all the clubs around on the Premier Division, I mean, I would say Drogheda is the one that shouldn't be there. Off the offset, just looking at it from what I know. But they have improved a lot, and obviously that has been reflected on the pitch, and they become quite competitive as well in the league. And the only beneficiaries league, actually, Drogheda is a really nice club, and I'm actually delighted for them that they're doing so well. But the fans should be obviously happy that they are in the position they are. Obviously, for Derry is a different story. So at the end, when I look at this draw, I think this Derry is one that actually, should come out of that with the 3 points, because at the end they should be the ones that are being racing Shamrock Rovers for the title. So I would say that makes very happy, or at least they should be okay with it for the Drogheda fans, but obviously not so much for the Derry fans. People in Brandywell should be looking for clinching the title again, and with this draw, there's a bit of a setback for them.
Now the Dublin Derby of last weekend. So in my understanding, I don't think things are going very well for Damien Duff at this point of the season. I don't recall now exactly where they are in the table, but it's another bad result against the rivals in Dalymount, John.
Yeah, absolutely. And we could talk all day, about how poor, I mean, they haven't been terrible, but how they fall off, I suppose, of Shells compared to last year. But I would also just like to talk a little bit about Bohs, to be honest. I think I must say, Adam Reynolds, at the start of the season, I was absolutely writing him off. I thought he was nowhere near good enough. He's really shown in the last month or two, I suppose month really, that he is well able to manage, and he's doing a great job there. Both they're up to third place. It's since he got that Derry fan on the podcast, I forget his name, that that legend, he's a legend of a man. It's since he got him in the podcast that that's really that they've done so well almost, but could Bohs win the league? I don't think so. Shamrock Rovers are just that bit more experienced, probably have a little bit more quality if we're honest. But they're going to be right up there. I don't see them falling off anytime soon. I've always said they've got a really strong squad. They've got the likes of Devoy, Tierney, Colin Whelan, and they've just got a really strong spine there, I would say. Midfield is where they're particularly strong. Niall Marhan is another player I rate very highly. So even though I'm not sure is he playing that much, but they've got a strong, deep squad, and I really, you've got to take your hat off to them. They're doing a lot better than they have been doing over the last few years. But just a brief word in Shelburne, it's a lot of pressure trying to retain a title. And in fairness, they did strengthen adequately. They brought in Mipo Adebeko. I thought that was an amazing signing at the time. And he's been okay. He scored a few goals, but he hasn't maybe had the impact that some might have thought, But I suppose, we'll just have to see how they do, how Shelburne do. But it's not been the season they would have wanted, I would say, so far. But at least their safety is pretty much secured. I mean, that's very important in this league, because not so long ago Shelburne were playing in the first division, So, but we'll drive on, and you've just got to commend Adam Reynolds. You've got to hold your hands up when you're wrong. I was wrong. He's done a great job. So
I don't think you were the only one, John.
I don't. We'll all hold our hands up collectively. Exactly. So, Yeah.
Cornell, did this game meet your predictions, or it came across as a shocking result?
I think this is a shocking result for Shelburne, because Shelburne are a team that have fantastic winning mentality. They have a fantastic manager like Damien Duff, who's going through a lot of pressure at the moment. Mostly with what's been going on, especially with the rivalry between him and Stephen Bradley. But this game, this was a game that I said that I wanted to see Shelburne really respond and really go on and get 3 points out of. But to lose to Bohemians, I think is not great. But you have to credit Bohemians really, because they've looked very strong in midfield when you've got key players like Turney, and you've got Devoy in there as well, who's also kicking along with his season and really producing so much quality. And you've got Colburn Whelan as well, who's also been outstanding as well. So we're seeing very good improvements with Bohemians, and Alan Reynolds has them where he wants them, and he wants them to improve, and he wants them to get better, and he wants their results to really start coming up the table and start really showing why they want to be in around the European places or finish mid-table this season in the League of Ireland. As for Shelburne, we're talking about Shelburne Football Club, who are favourites for the League of Ireland title. A team that has won, that really shocked the whole world and shocked the whole of the League of Ireland by winning their first ever League of Ireland title for 15 years. And in that 15 years wait of winning the League of Ireland title, went on a full winnable run this new season before their run got ended by Drogheda. We're talking about Damien Duff, who shocked everyone with his playing methods, how he likes to play, how he likes to dominate games and hurt oppositions on the counter-attack and hurt them in so many ways. Now we're seeing not so good. Yes, I can understand that obviously the injuries hasn't really helped. Like when they lost Martin to injury, that was a big blow. Then Sean Boyd, I was even saying, even when the podcast started previously, and I said, I want to see Boyd and Odebeko. Like Odebeko's coming, and that was a fantastic signing. We've seen some goals, coming from him, and I'm thinking, this player is going to score a lot of goals this season, but we're not seeing that. And we want to see Odebeko. I don't know if him and Harry Wood and Martin is not working. I don't know if that front three is not working. They've got some injuries in the team. They're missing Sean Boyd, because Sean Boyd has been a huge influence on this Shelburne team. He has made so much of this team, and they are missing his goals. They're missing when he's in the team, in the starting 11. Shelburne are a different side. They are an absolute different side when Sean Boyd's in the team. Now he's not in the team, and now Odebeko's in there. It's very difficult. And then you expect the brand new signings like Ryan O'Kane and obviously Ellis Chapman, who's made a huge impact this season. This is the proper impact that you see Ellis Chapman doing. But you do worry. You kind of think, well, there are some other players that should be in that starting 11. Ellis Chapman should be in that starting 11, because obviously he has really made so much of an impact in the League of Ireland. When settling down in this Shelburne's team is just outstanding. And it's very interesting to see who Damien Duff obviously wants in his side and who he doesn't want in his side. So those are the type of questions. But to lose to Bohemians 1-0, I think something is not right. I think something needs to be looked at this team. Shelburne, I think for me personally, I want to see them get back to winning ways. I want to see them be back to their best. I want to see Damien Duff dominating games and really showing his opponents that, listen, they are here to challenge for the title. Do I think they need some reinforcements in the summer? Maybe I believe they do, because if they want to be challenging, which I still think they will challenge for the League of Ireland title this season, they need to bring in some other reinforcements in just to get them over the line. We're seeing fantastic performances from Tyke Wilson. We're seeing performances from Barrett and so on. And Chapman and Kerr and Roy as well has been outstanding as well too, since coming from the Scottish Premier League. But again, you know, I think they were more relying on Boyd to actually score the goals. Odebeko is missing that link. He's not getting that with Harry Wood. He's not getting that with Martin. So I think once Harry Boyd starts coming back and he gets back his fitness and get back to his best, then I think we'll see the very best of Shelbourne. But I think if they want to get back to winning ways and they want to get back challenging for the title, they need to get 3 points on the board and really start showing the League of Ireland fans why they are the team that no one does want to be playing this season.
Pedro, your thoughts on this game?
I mean, yeah, I think you guys said it all already. Although I feel a bit, not really shocked I felt shocked that Shelbourne won the league. I think some people, and probably people that know the League of Ireland quite well for many years now, can see that coming somehow. But yes, nevertheless, it was a great achievement. I think that's just normal. I think it's very common that teams that are not used to be winning the leagues, that the season after, it's normally the dropping point. You've seen that many times. I mean, if you think about Leicester, for example, when they won the Premier League, and then the season after, I think they end up mid top table. I think there was like something like 11th or 12th. So at the end, that's if you don't really fall through the next season, and if something is missing, if there is a missing link or a missing piece, then obviously you're going to go through that. And I think that's what Cornell just mentioned, that there is something there that is not right, and something that needs to be fixed. Obviously, they have enough like a very experienced manager, and with to be honest, that was indeed a shock. That the way you kind of, in the way that even in the way people, their own supporters will look after the team. So there's been a lot of changes also for Shelbourne since he took charge. So yeah, I think it's done and dusted for unfortunately for Shelbourne this year. To be honest, just to make a comment here, John, and because I know Alan quite well, and I think it's many people kind of, it's one of those managers that you love or you hate, but he is indeed probably also one of the best managers in the league. He's from the tactical point of view, and also from the team management perspective as well. He's really good, and I think what he did with Bowes and what he's doing with Bowes, it's quite surprising.
Right. So those were last weekend games. So before we move into what we have in the next day or two, we're going to put Pedro on the spot. So we're going to throw you questions, the three of us, and hopefully the viewers will add some fire to the fire. So for my gents, I will start myself. And I encourage people out there to use the chat box. I would like to ask you, how would you describe the vibe at the Irish grounds?
Oh God. I mean, I mean, it changed a bit. I think the last 5 years maybe. It's picking up a tiny bit more. I think there was a dead phase throughout, let's say, between 2000s until maybe 2000, and let's say post-COVID maybe. It was a dropping zone there. It was too long, too empty. I think it's picking up now. I think actually Cork City has been one of the few ones that has, constantly creating an atmosphere in that stand that everyone loves, and I think it's getting better. I think it's picking up a tiny bit, and obviously it has to, because it is indeed a good league, and it deserves to have some good attendances and some good vibes at the grounds. Also, to be fair, some of the grounds have been also let's call it revamped or more refurbished, or it's still far away from what it should be, but that also helps. I would say.
John. John, I don't know if you can.
Sorry,
you can hear.
is it?
Yes. Yeah. You.
Look, Pedro. Sorry, yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Grand. Pedro, just first of all, look, thank you so much for coming on. Like, it's a real pleasure to be able to talk to a coach, you know. My question is really, like, it's no secret I'm a Cork City fan. So, and you've been a former coach in Cork City in the past. So, what would you describe the Cork City fans? How would you describe the Cork City fans? Were you impressed by them? Could they maybe have made a bit more noise? Like, what was your overall opinions on the fans of Cork City?
No, I think, like I said, I think Cork City, the fan base of Cork City is as probably one of the best ones in the country. It's a very, at least it was back in the day when I remember, a very young, group of supporters, and obviously quite noisy. And I remember the games were just absolutely electrifying. On the other side of the stand, and I think it was really good. I mean, I don't really have anything to say about on the negative side from the Cork City fans, to be honest. It's Cork it's Cork. It's the capital of Ireland. Sorry.
My good one there. Thanks so much.
Yeah, no, it's Cork forever, mate. I've left Ireland now since 2019, but I still have Cork in my heart, and you will stay with me for the rest of the life.
You're a top man. Thank you so much. That's brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coronel, would you like to drop your question?
Yes. Pedro, who is your favorite player in the Cork City team this season, and what are your aspects for Cork City to this season? Do you expect them to be finishing higher, or do you expect them to be in and around the mid-table or try and compete? What's your thoughts on this?
I think, unfortunately, for Cork City, it's not going to be as easy as it should. I mean, not that it should be easy, but at the end, I think the squad doesn't have enough to offer compared to what exactly are the demands in the Premier League. Obviously, I have a special preference for Shiny, because I think Shiny Maguire is obviously going to be Shiny all forever, and it's the goal scorer and the cup final Euro and everything. So he's going to be always my favorite player. But there's a lot of talent in the squad. There was a fantastic group of players. To be honest, to be fair, I don't know this manager that just came in, that took over. So I feel a bit sorry for him that things didn't really work out. But yeah, at the end, I would rather see someone coming back that knows well the club, but that is a different story. I really hope that at least if he can offer something good to the team, and at least make them fight until the end. I mean, you never know. It's football, and things can change, and sometimes the manager comes in and changes the whole atmosphere and the whole mentality. So it could be that they be able to hold on, but to be realistic, I think it's going to be a tough one.
Thank you.
Now, a question from the bench perspective, or from the coach standpoint. What's the difference, being a coach yourself, between men and women football these days?
Oh, it's a big difference. I mean, this is probably the question I've heard that I've been asked the most for the last years. Obviously, I think it's a matter of group dynamics, and the group dynamics between men teams and women's teams are completely different. At the end, they're all football players, and it's obviously it's the rules are the same for both men and women. So it's 11 players, there's a ball, so we all know what the objective is. Obviously, then when you start to planning and structuring trainings, obviously there was a slightly difference, obviously, based on other facts that are nothing to do with football. I personally, and I'm going now for my 18th season since I'm a coach, and I will go for another season with women's. And I still prefer to coach women's rather than men, just for the simple fact that I think that at the end of the day, you can offer more to football than with the men's. This goes also touch other topics, but for me the big difference is on managing, on the managing level, personal managing level. So managing emotions, reactions, and all of that. Not saying that is the more emotional women's football. It's different from the men for sure.
John, your turn, please.
Thanks very much. Yeah. So just a question for maybe aspiring coaches, managers would be, in your opinion, what is the best thing and the worst thing about managing?
I mean, the best thing is obviously the gratification that you get from achieving whatever goals you have together with your team. Obviously, that always going to be winning is obviously the end point. Winning something, winning games. If you, depending on whatever objective you set up at the beginning of the season, rather winning titles, stay, avoid relegation. All of these things, cup finals. So whatever you are bringing your team in a direction to win something. I mean, this is obviously the best thing. Obviously, you do establish relationships that will last you forever. The worst, I mean, it's sometimes football is a sport of people that are involved in football have a very short-term memory, and you often just go from hero to villain in no time, and people have the tendency to forget everything good that you did. So this is just like everything in life. It's not only in football, but I think this is that's the worst and the best. Obviously, learning, it's always and I say to everyone that it's out there that is trying to, or at least thinking about becoming a coach, go for it, try it. Just do not stay aside just because you think that you do not have what it takes. Sometimes people are just thinking that, oh my God, maybe I'm not good enough to do this and that. Just try it, see it, test it, and don't stay home because you don't think that you can make it.
Thank you so much.
Cornell, please.
Yes. What made you get into the League of Ireland as a fan, and what inspired you about the League of Ireland?
I mean, well, I was never really a fan of the League of Ireland. I got involved with League of Ireland as part of the game, and I knew very little about the League of Ireland, to be quite honest. I was in Ireland, I think, just for 2 years maybe, and I played in some regional leagues around Cork. So I was never really into it until I became part of it. And I think once you became part of it, obviously then it's a different story, because then you start to know the people, you start to sit together in the dugouts with those people, and you start traveling around the country and go to the different grounds. And obviously then, it's after a couple of years you become familiar, as you're part of it. So it's just it's just natural that you become a fan.
Still on the topic of Ireland, Pedro, and moving to the national team, what are your prospects for the Irish national team, given the new manager, the good results against Bulgaria, the high chances of playing in the Euro Cup that will be hosted by Ireland and England, Wales and Scotland? So how do you foresee the Irish national team future in the next, say, 3 to 5 years?
I think they're good. They have a good squad, and they have good prospects as well. And second, they have a manager that has done something different from their, the predecessors. And whilst Kenny knew everything and everyone, so he didn't really need to establish relationships with young players and as well, because obviously he knew them, because before he became the senior manager, he was the under 21s manager. And obviously he was a League of Ireland manager for so many years, so knew everyone. But what this manager is doing is literally connecting everyone through the national team. So he goes club by club by club and just starts to create this kind of in-between line that, okay, you have the clubs have different, and everyone is competing on the same, but at the same level. I am working in between to connect the dots. I think, and I hope Ireland does well, because at the end, it's necessary that Ireland gets out of that void that was there for so many years. Especially, I think the last 10 years has been horrendous, to be quite honest, to be quite frank. And it's just a pity, because we have Ireland has so much quality and so many good players and so many youngsters coming out. Obviously, we had the issue as well with some of them do not want to play for Ireland, unfortunately. But yeah, at the end, I think the future is bright, and I hope that it will be bright, because it's really necessary.
John, over to you. Oh,
apologies about that there. What would be your favorite league of Ireland ground?
Oh, good question. I mean, obviously Tala has a lot of in regards to quality of the ground, and and quality of the whole stadium itself. Tala is a good one. I think the RSC in Waterford is actually, from the ground itself, from playing ground, from the grass perspective, it is probably one of the best. I think my favorite of all, and I'm going to be probably a bit talking on this one, is the Eamon Daisy Park.
Nice, good choice. I like it. Yeah, that's actually.
I like it. I always liked it, and I always find it when we go there. This the graffitis and I think the whole thing it's really cool.
Cornell,
thanks a million. Great choice.
Yeah. My question to you, Pedro, is obviously the next generation of young players, like from Cathy O'Sullivan and others as well. Do you think that they are the future, and do you think they should be added into the Ireland international team? Despite that, Helgason is really having an amazing effect. What are your thoughts about Ireland going into the World Cup next year? And do you think they can go on and win it? And do you think he'll pick certain players from the League of Ireland to represent Ireland? What's your take on that?
Okay, let's split the question in two sides. Okay, so I'm just going to jump into the last part about winning the World Cup. Well, that is, I think it's definitely not in the cards. Unfortunately, I wouldn't see Ireland. I would see that. I hope that they do well, but I have to be realistic, and I don't think that the Republic of Ireland has what it takes to win the World Cup. What I do think, and this goes back, what I do think that this goes back to the beginning of your question, is the inclusion of those youngsters on the national squad, and by all means that should be done. At the end, it's been a bit of a problem for the league for the national team for many years. The connection between the players that play League of Ireland and the players that play on the national team, and it's been unfortunate that not that often they have been called up to the to the. I still remember Shane Maguire being called up for the national team, and it was like everyone was like, "Wow, League of Ireland players now are moving up to the national team, and this is really good." And then somewhere along the line, the thing break down again, and then it's just been. So I think it's very important that, but this is also something that is complex, more complex, and we could talk about this for another hour, because the League of Ireland itself suffers from a deficit of international quality, and obviously that is a requirement to play on the national team. And unfortunately, it's unfortunate that the manager cannot completely rely on the domestic players, because obviously they lack what is necessary to be representing the Republic of Ireland team on that level. Nevertheless, I think it would be great to include those players and give them a bit of that flavor, because also that can just galvanize them for their future, and also help galvanizing the League of Ireland.
Right. So my final question is something that we started to discuss in my podcast about a year ago. I think you know where I'm going with this, and we carry on off camera before we went live today, and it's about our good friend Ruben Amorim. So you mentioned that he is at the top 5 when it comes to the current coaches, and I think when we spoke, correct me if I'm wrong, my memory is not great, he was still managing Sporting Lisbon at the time. He was, yeah. But he was on the limbo to go to the Premier League. So, and when we were discussing the podcast structure, you mentioned that you still stand for that opinion, that you're still top 5 despite the disappointing results yesterday.
Sure.
Can you elaborate that?
Sure, by all means. I mean, it's you can't just evaluate a manager for a season, so you can just all of a sudden just say, yeah, he's not that good anymore, because I mean, to be honest, no one. You could just take Ruben out now and put there Pepe, or you could put Jose again, or you could put Ancelotti. You could whatever you want. No one would be able to bring that boat to where it's desired. And as I mentioned, this has nothing to do with the coach. It's nothing to do, to the players, yes, to a certain extension, but the players feed from a club philosophy, and the whole team, not only the players, the staff, everyone is it's drinking from the same fountain. And to be quite honest, the fountain from Old Trafford, it's been dry now for quite some time. And I don't see that change so they are doing this illusionism magic trick with promoting new stadiums and stuff like that, but that is just fireworks, because it doesn't gonna work. And I just read this morning that Ruben said that he still wants to keep on going, but he also, if they tell him like you have to go, then he will go without compensation. And I do believe that, to be honest. But I will be worried that also for him that he stays, and that will become another. I'm sorry, pardon my French, but another shit show for next season, because it is what it is at the moment. It's an absolute mess. That club is a shambles, and you heard Ronaldo going back and being treated the way he was treated, and then he mentioned those things that no one wanted to mention, and at the end he was right. And the same was for Jose. That talk about this famous sentence from him that he called it what was it again? That football heritage. Mm-hmm. And at the end, he was right. So I don't think it doesn't matter who we put there. No one will change that. So that doesn't change my opinion that Ruben is one of the best, because a guy that comes in to a club like Sporting Lisbon and did what he did. And changed the complete structure. Obviously, he had a really good support from the director of football that now it's in Manchester City, and the chairman as well, obviously support him on that. But so it has to be a connection of things. So when you have a great president, an excellent director of football, and an outstanding coach, then you have a winning recipe to dominate the league you're in. And unfortunately, for Man United, I don't think that they have any of it at the moment. Only Ruben is there, and he can't do everything by himself, to be quite honest. Now he proved as well to be stubborn, and wanted to keep on playing on the same tactics and using the same formation, and even though everyone is telling him that it's not working, but he wants to prove a point as well. And I do believe that if things were different and Ruben was a different club, and the whole structure and the whole organization was supporting him in a different way, and there was no other things, extra football that sometimes kill the momentum of the teams, that you will be doing very well on the Premier League as well.
So no good news for Manchester United fans that are watching us. They will stay in the desert for another 3-5 years. It seems. John, your last question, please.
Yeah, thanks a million. I'll just say very briefly, Pedro, that I actually would agree with pretty much most of your sentiment on Amram. I think he's a terrific coach, and there's been very high quality coaches that have come out of Manchester United over the past few years. I'm thinking of like Van Gaal, even David Moyes, you could argue, who's doing quite well, who has done well in his career. Erik ten Hag, some might laugh, but he has been successful in his career. The common trend is these are good, strong managers who, Jose Mourinho, I mean, your countryman, are all strong managers who...
You're forgetting Ole.
I intentionally... but in all seriousness, yeah, these are all, high quality managers who I suppose, didn't do well at United. So I think there's a deeper problem there at United. But anyway, my question for you is really, congratulations to your team, Sporting Lisbon, on winning their second trophy, or second league title in a row. And I know you've got a certain Swedish striker, Vitor Gyökeres. Where do you think he's going to go in the summer? Or is he going to stay?
Unfortunately, I think he's going. Question is where, and even worse than that, everything is pointing out that he might join Arsenal. What is breaking my heart even more. I mean, I don't think he will stay. I mean, if it stays, it will be just because something really happened within the negotiations that you somehow. So I don't think Sporting is. We will sell him for that high of a fee. If you compare to other players that have gone in the past from Portugal to other leagues, like for example João Felix or Bruno Fernandes. So I think what I read, it was something between 60-65 million. What it's already good, but I think for a player that scores 50, I think he scored 52 goals this season or 54. I mean, it's unbelievable. And I have a lot of conversations here in Germany about Vitor Gyökeres because he played here. Actually, I live in Hamburg, and he played here for one of the local teams for São Paulo. And everyone was a bit like, how did this guy goes from no one, because he was not even making that good in São Paulo, to become one of the best strikers in the world? It's a good question. I don't know where he goes. I know we will miss him for sure. It's probably I would say he's probably one of the top 3 strikers that I ever played in Portugal. So that says a lot. I mean, it's the quality is just huge. And some people will kind of ask, okay, that's the Portuguese league. Yeah, it is a Portuguese league, but also the coefficient of the way the points are counted for the best striker in Europe are also different. So you get more points if you play in England or I think in Spain as well. And he's still ahead of Mbappe and Salah, for example. So it's quite impressive.
100%. Thank you.
As you just heard you say, you're living in Hamburg, obviously, Pedro. My question is to you: do you think that Liverpool FC will get Florian Wirtz from Bayer Leverkusen? Because obviously they are very, very confident that they can steal him away from Bayern Munich, and I think obviously with Jeremy Frimpong obviously heading to Liverpool now as a replacement for Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Kirkes, obviously they're still trying to do talks with that and things. And do you think Florian Wirtz will go to Liverpool, or do you think he'll go to Bayern Munich? What's your thoughts on that?
It all depends what's going to happen with Xabi Alonso, really. So we don't know if he's going to land that job yet or not. I don't know if it's signed already, but everything shows that he's most likely he will replace Ancelotti. So it could be that there will be a turning of directions. I really hope he goes to Liverpool, because he's an excellent player, and I would love to see him in Liverpool. So yeah, I think also in Liverpool there is now a little bit of let's say it's a clean sweep of some of the players that they weren't doing there nothing anymore. Darwin is now going to Athletic Madrid, and so at the end, yeah, I will hope so. So, but I think there is a slightly possibility there that Real Madrid gets also in the way at some point.
Okay.
Right. So I think we can move now to the games that took place on Monday, which I think they were anticipated, given that the 4 teams will be playing Conference League and Champions League qualification in the next month or two. So we start with the 0-0 between Shelbourne and Drogheda. Was it a severe punishment for Shelbourne, John?
Yeah, look, I suppose it's a result both teams again can maybe be happy with in some ways. Drogheda are slightly ahead of Shelbourne this season, but I suppose at the end of the day, Shelbourne have a much bigger budget, much stronger squad on paper, so they should be really coming out with a win there. They really should. But when you consider the context of the season, it's not actually the worst result. So yeah, I think both sides can be happy enough with the clean sheet and to part ways, really.
Cornell, how did you see this draw?
How I saw this draw, Victor, is these are 2 teams that have been one team's been in fantastic form, one team have dropped off. A point, obviously, I think was the fair result, but for Shelbourne, this is a big, massive blow for them in their title hopes, and I think this is a question where you got to question Shelbourne as a team. Is the winning mentality starting to fade away? Are we starting to see Shelbourne really starting to wilt, and after this their successful title run last season and winning the title last season, are we seeing a different Shelbourne team that we haven't seen before from last season? When are we going to see Shelbourne get back to winning ways? How are we going to see Shelbourne be that dominant team where you be up against the likes of your Boyds and your Odebeckos, who's now coming now? When are we going to see that? Because the performances this season from Shelbourne hasn't been good enough, and Damien Duff will understand that. They've gone into certain games and they have gone, confident and say, "Oh yeah, they'll work hard, they'll get 3 points, and they'll do well in certain games." But we haven't seen that. We haven't seen Damien Duff's team, Shelbourne, come out of the blocks and say, "Listen, let's try and get 3 points. Let's try and keep hold of the lead." Like, there's certain games that they've been playing, their defending hasn't been great, and Damien Duff will know that they haven't. They've taken the lead. They've scored either it's 1, 2, or 3 goals, whatever goals they've scored, and they have failed to keep hold of the leads. They've failed to keep hold of that, and that is where you question Shelbourne as a team. you know, obviously we all expect Shelburne to be in and around, to be challenging for the League of Ireland title, to retain it. We've been saying that. Since Boyd's now been injured, then it's been like obviously Odebeko maintaining the game. It's been Martin, it's been Wood carrying that load, and they haven't really recovered from since Boyd has not been the team. Yeah, they've got other injuries in the team. Yes, of course they have, but we're talking about a team that has had a fantastic winning mentality, a team that has really shocked the whole world, the team that's gone on full game runs, winnable runs, and really showing that they can not be stopped. Right now, we are seeing a washed up Shelburne team that is not performing well and not performing properly. And until obviously they go and buy some players, because I think, as I said previously this evening, something is not right with this Shelburne team. Something is not right. Is it some of the players that are on the bench that are trying to get playing time? Do they need to move on? These are the type of questions that you have to ask. Does Damien Duff go into the summer transfer window and say, look, I need a couple of one or two or more reinforcements to really boost up Shelburne's team? These are the type of questions. Is Ellis Chapman, where does he fit in the team? These questions are asked because Ellis Chapman is a fantastic player, a former Lincoln City player who's played for my team that I support, in League One, Lincoln City Football Club, under the Cowley brothers. Where does he fit? Where does he fit in the Shelburne team? Where does he fit? All these questions we have to ask. So I think a draw was suitable, but in Damien Duffy's eyes, it's a massive blow for their title hopes of them challenging for the League of Ireland title. So I think they need to find a way to basically put it right, bounce back instead of getting draws, and try and hold on to the lead instead of losing it or drawing. Because right now, Shelburne fans right now are looking at this and thinking, that's 2 points dropped or 3 points dropped there. So there's a lot of questions to be asked about Shelburne this season.
Yeah, so I didn't watch the game, but I saw on social media that Damien Duff, he wasn't watching the game from the bench. He was somehow on the grass or something. What was it?
He's suspended.
It was suspended. Okay.
He's suspended, yeah. He got sent off the previous game.
How much can that impact the action on the pitch, Pedro?
He shouldn't. I mean, okay, I will rephrase that just to not make it sound so easy. If you have a game plan, if everything goes as it should be, and to be honest, we're talking about League of Ireland grounds. We're not talking about Stamford Bridge or anything like that, or Old Trafford, big stadiums where if you go into the stands, no one can hear you. So it's League of Ireland game. So it's unfortunately not so. So this isn't there's not that many supporters in the stand, unfortunately. So your voice can be heard. I don't think it should impact that much. You still can hear instructions from your assistant manager. Obviously, it's not the same thing that hearing directly from your manager. But if everything was well, and that's the thing, it shouldn't make a difference.
Now, fantastic result for Shamrock Rovers. They beat their rivals 4-0. So they not only won, they trashed them in Tawat, John.
Rovers are absolutely on fire at the moment, and it kind of seems like Matt Healy is at the heart of it all. He's really pulling strings there in midfield, and I would actually argue, and people may disagree with this, but he's actually slightly out of position. Like, to me, his best position is as a number 8. That's where he used to play for Cork City, and Aaron Balger used to sit in the 6 with kind of Barry Caffey in the other 8 then. And he used to thrive there as well. And then he went over to Belgium and was brilliant in a similar position. But we're seeing him occupy this deeper role now for Rovers, for Shamrock Rovers. And it's interesting to see, how he's actually doing. And I think he's well in the running to be player of the season. He's just been phenomenal. But look, I don't want to focus on just one player, but I just think he deserves a special shout for how good he's been. Another one is probably, this is kind of what I've been hearing from Rovers fans, is Lee Grace so far this year is probably their best centre back. Now look, the three of them are playing well, but Lee Grace has really stepped it up a notch and is looking better than he's ever been. And he's been a good servant to Rovers, the tip man, but he's looking really top class this year. It's looking very good for them. But as for St. Pat's, I mean, that's an unacceptable result. I've seen some St. Pat's fans suggest that Kenny should go. And look, I think when you've got such an elite manager, by League of Ireland standards anyway, at the helm, you probably shouldn't sack him. But he, at the same time, no one is bigger than the club or no one is bigger than the job. He needs to be careful because results like that are unacceptable for a club that has invested so much this season and had such high expectations going into the season. To lose 4-0 to anyone in the league is not acceptable at all. So Pats have to reevaluate themselves. But I think I'd like to focus on how good Rovers are looking. I mean, they gave Cork City a similar spanking a few weeks ago, and they're continuing to do that now. So you just have to take your hat off to them, really.
Coronel, do you think Stephen Kenny is under huge pressure after this game?
First of all, I am very, very pleased for Shamrock Rovers. They winning against St. Pat's 4-0 and extending their lead at the top of the table and really showing their ruthless quality from the likes of 16-year-old kids like Michael Noonan, Matt Healy, Danny Grant, and not just focusing on them. Obviously, we're talking about the likes of Graham Burke, who is absolutely tearing defenses apart up front. He's really showing his absolute quality for an experienced player who's been there and done it, and has to be credited as one of the greatest League of Ireland players of all time. And obviously Graham Burke is really running the show and really making a huge difference for Shamrock Rovers. He and Jack Byrne have been absolutely crucial to Shamrock Rovers this season, and the reason why Shamrock Rovers are flying. Yes, the new signings, of course, from Healy and Grant have made a huge difference. Obviously, as John said, that Matt Healy's playing out of position, and his favoured position is playing in the 8. But when Matt Healy does play, the way that he plays, he is an absolute handful going forward and really terrorizing defenses and really making a huge difference. As for St. Pat's, don't get me started on St. Pat's. Seriously, don't get me started on them. We're talking about a team that has had huge expectations to basically challenge for the League of Ireland title again. When Stephen Kenny came into it, he when he came into the team, they were in relegation fight last season. They were down the table, and Stephen Kenny came in and really uplifted them and got them to win 9 games last season. This season, despite that they've started the new season very, very well, they've won twice from home. They have had now 10 away trips this season. It's not good enough. This is not good enough from St. Pat's at all. This is unacceptable for any League of Ireland fan that is a St. Pat's fan, to see St. Pat's get beat 4-0, not 4-1, not 4-2, not 4-3, not 4-4. Even if they got a point, if they didn't go on and win it, or even go on and try and get a win, 4-0 against a team that has extended their lead at the top of the table, who are obviously aiming to get their 5th consecutive League of Ireland title. That is just unacceptable. You're talking about Stephen Kenny, Is Stephen Kenny, is it make or break for him? Yes, it is. It is make or break for him. Yes, maybe it might be a little bit too harsh to sack him. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, he's got a 51% win percentage, Honestly, this is just out of order. Not right at all. It is make or break. 2 wins in 8, 3 defeats from 4. That is just unacceptable from a team. The front 3 a front three that I've highly rated from. Where is where is Jake Mulaney? Where is he? Where is the dominance that we see from Mulaney when Mulaney's been hurting defenses and really making defenses have so much fear? Where is that Jake Mulaney gone? Where is Zebedee gone? Zebedee, a player that used to play for my local club that I support in Lincoln City. Yeah, where is he gone? Where is the dominance gone? Simon Power, where is that dominance gone? Injury couldn't be helped. Where is Aidan McKenna? A player that has basically been out of it for 12 weeks, yeah, who scored 5 goals from the start of the season. Where is he? Where is that dominant Aidan McKenna that put every single defense on lock? Where is he gone? I want to see the front three, /the front four, responding tomorrow when they play the next game against Waterford, because that ain't going to be easy. But this is just out of order, and it is a disgrace from St. Pat's. I have never seen it. I watched that game. I watched the highlights, and I saw the way that Shamrock Rovers really smoked up St. Pat's. Absolutely, they tore them to shreds. Absolutely, that is just not good enough. And right now, Stephen Kenny needs to question this squad. If the players are not playing the way they're not playing, they need to be dropped, right? You cannot tell me you're losing to this team. Mason Melia, where is that young generation gone? Where is he gone? What has happened to St. Pat's? What has happened to them? They need to find a way to bounce back. Because if this carries on, I'm sorry, but Stephen Kenny would have to walk. Well, we'll have to walk. Yes, it would. As I said, it would be a bit harsh to sack him. It would be hard. It would be very, very harsh to sack him, because I think the injuries haven't really helped them. But we're talking about St. Pat's here. We're talking about a team that is challenging for the title, to really go on and show, listen, they are a dominant side. Yes, you have the squad depth, but it's the players' it's mentality. Where is that gone? Where is the winning mentality in this team? Where is it gone? That's what I want to know. So until the winning mentality returns, until we see the very best of McKenna, Jake Mulaney, and Zebedee, and Power, and obviously Jamin Lennon, even though Chris Forrester is the greatest midfielder in the League of Ireland of all time, and then obviously Joe Redmond at the back, who's been sensational at the back. Something has got to give in the next game, because if it don't, the pressure is going to be on Stephen Kenny. Yeah, it's going to be too early to obviously say, well, where do they go from here? But the fans want a response. The fans want a response for tomorrow when they play against Waterford. No exceptions, nothing. So until the winning mentality comes back, until the positive mentality comes back, there's going to be problems. So is he in trouble? Is he in danger to lose his job? He could be. So he needs to respond.
Pedro, after this amazing result for the Rovers, is it for them to win the league, or it's too early to dictate who is going to be the champion?
I think it's still a bit early. I mean, the next game, if I'm not mistaken, this is in Brandywell. And is it? Yeah, okay. And obviously, if they get the job done, then this starts to create even a bigger gap. But to be honest, it's Cornell seems very passionate there about this what is happening with Pats. But we're talking about Stephen Kenny, and we're talking about the most successful manager that this league have seen within the last 25 years, right? And I'm sure that he knows that, and I'm sure that he will push them back to winning mentality, because it's something that Kenny is good is at doing that, and we've seen that before. I remember Dundalk going to a similar situation back in the past, and then he easily turned things around. Now, if it's a bit too late to go for the title, we don't know, but we have to see that, and this is where the harsh reality kicks in. We're talking about Shamrock Rovers, and if you put things in perspective, and if you look at budgets, and if you look at the full structure of the club, you even have a manager that is there for 10 years now. So Shamrock Rovers should be, and they have to win every year the league. If this was just for the paper, just from that perspective, they will be the champions every year because they have to, because they have everything better than everyone else. So they have the better squad, they have the better stadium, they have the better, even the supports that, and this is also a discussion that happens quite often, that how much money is poured into Shamrock Rovers compared to other clubs in Dublin. So they are obliged to win the league every year. And Pats obviously, I don't think they made a lot of investment as well the last years, and obviously to bring in a manager like Kenny, that costs money. So yeah, I do agree with you. It's shocking to lose 4-0 against Shamrock Rovers. If he was like 4-2, 4-3, I do agree. Yeah, maybe it would look a tiny bit better, but it doesn't make a difference at the end because a loss is a loss. So, but I'm sure they will be able to turn this around. And I'm seeing that Pats will take the tide. And if Derry, for example, loses this game against Shamrock Rovers, maybe then we start to see things shifting a bit in the order of the top 5.
Talking of inequalities, let's just briefly discuss the first division. So we don't go game by game. We just have like a single comment just to comment, just to evaluate how is it going in the first division. So but we'll talk about inequalities, and it seems there is a big gap between Dundalk and the remaining teams. So there was lots of expectation last weekend because Dundalk traveled all the way to Cove, and there were only 3 points separating the two teams. And if Cove would have won, then they would have shared the first place, at least for a week. But that wasn't the case, John. Dundalk proved again that they seem to be unbeatable.
Yeah, Dundalk are doing fierce well. And so are Cove. I think it's going to look. Dundalk are going to win it. They will be back in the Premier Division for season 2026. But I suppose the promotion race is a bit more interesting. I think Treaty United are having a pretty decent season. And we obviously had Connor Sullivan on before. I think I might have got his name wrong there, but a great midfielder from Canada. And so we had him on before, and they've got a really strong squad there over in Limerick at Treaty. But I do think Cove will pull through. I think Bray Wanderers are up there as well, but I think Cove will pull through and get that second place. And Cork City against Cove, it would be such a good game, but it would scare the living bejesus out of me. It really would, to see those two teams playing. So, it's a good it's a good first division this year as well. I think the Premier Division is as good as it's been maybe in a long time, but it's a solid first division as well. There's a solid promotion battle there, but unfortunately not much of a title race. But when you have such a big team like Dundalk in there, you can't expect much, I suppose.
Yeah, according to just to pick on John's words, I have very bad memories from seeing Cork City playing Cove. So I was at the Munster Cup final, and Cove beat us, I think 3-1 or 2-1. I can't remember, but it was devastating. Should I fear the same scenario in November, Corner, or there will be other team? Maybe my neighbors here, Bray, or my local team, better said.
No, I don't think you have nothing to fear, Victor, for Cork City. I mean, yeah, losing 3-1 in a friendly against Munster wasn't very great. It wasn't the result that Cork City needed and the motivation that they didn't deserve, that they needed better than that. But I think the thing is with Cork City is that I think they just need a balanced squad. Yeah, they need another. I've said it from time that even when Maguire was out the team, obviously Keating's out 6 to 9 months, which is a big blow. I did say you need at least 2 strikers just to cover the likes of Maguire and Keating. Daniels has come in and made a huge difference. I do believe that obviously with the new manager that you've got now, especially with Gerard Nash in it now, he is going to get the best out of them players. He's going to get them back up. The only problem I think probably for Cork is keeping hold of Cathy O'Sullivan, because Cathy O'Sullivan is getting huge interest in playing, possibly playing in the Premier League at Crystal Palace, and Crystal Palace are now bidding 600 K for him to basically go on and make himself the next generation to step up into the Crystal Palace first team. But for Cork City, I think it's vital that you stay up. It's vital that you just keep the faith with them, because look, I know they're going through like a real rough patch. We're seeing the quality there, but something is missing, or they haven't got that sort of manager like to really say, look, to get them the motivation that they deserve. Nash will get the best out of them, as I said. He'll get the best out of Daniels. He'll get the best out of Cathy O'Sullivan and turn them into the best baller. He will help them really, really get where they want to be. So I think having faith and sticking and keep on carrying on supporting, Cork City at their lowest to get them back up how they are, I think is very, very important. So I don't think it's the end of the world for Cork City at all. But I think just you guys need to go into the summer transfer window and try and get some brand new players to really help them get up the table and really finish in a very good position, because you are a very good side. Yeah, I think the squad age obviously is kind of the problem, but I think it's about the consistency of the players and how Nash is really going to bring his experiences that he has from Aston Villa and Ipswich, and obviously in Sweden that he's managed in there. He's managed before he's come to Cork City as well. So I think that's the main importance to that. So I wouldn't be down too much on Cork City right now, Victor. I think it's just keeping the faith really with the team.
Pedro, you also spent some time working for Cove Rumba, so you know the team very well, and the background, the fans, and all that. We even shared one of the most funny Roy Keane stories I've ever heard in my show. I'll never forget that one. And so, do you think Cove can challenge Dundalk, or they better focus on the playoff and then play with the team from the League of Ireland in November?
I mean, I think if they're smart, they go for the second one. So I think they know that obviously against Dundalk it's tough. I mean, the last game was that on the mental side. I think, okay, if we beat them, or at least if we get a draw with them, then we are a contender there, and we go head to head with them until the end of the season. I think now they realize, okay, maybe we cannot keep up with the pace from Dundalk, but for sure they can keep up with the pace from Brave Wanderers. And to be honest, this Cove Rumblers, it's a completely different team that I knew from my time over there, and it's a different club. They have improved. Obviously, there is obviously a financial aspect on that is obviously been upgraded, and but when I look at the squad and I see players, I don't know, like Griffin and Cian Coleman, and I was like, God, do we ever thought that those guys were going to be playing for Cove Rumblers? And obviously there are still players there from my time, lots of Jason Abbott and Brendo as well. It's still there, so at least he came back. So it's a great team, and it's a very good mix as well between experienced players and younger players. So I think there's definitely like a huge chance there of Cove being promoted. Would be amazing. I would be delighted to see Cove Rumblers having a go in the Premier Division.
Oh, so let's move now to the upcoming games, which will take place tomorrow. So I'd like to get your predictions. We start with this massive match between Drogheda and Bohemians. Bohemians are in very good form. Drogheda not as good as they were, say, a month ago, but still, I would say unpredictable, John.
Yeah, I don't know if this one's going to be on the telly, the television, but it's going to be a very tight one, interesting one. Bit of a trend recently of Drogheda getting draws, and Bows are very strong, but in a similar position to Drogheda, so it's going to go for a 2-2 draw in this one.
Right, Cornell, how about you?
This is is going to be a very interesting game. Two teams, obviously, who are starting to pick up form. Bohemians starting to get back to their best. Drogheda, obviously, being talk of the town, talk of the underdogs, who have been really amazing to watch. And since then, their performances have really dropped down. Obviously, I think this is going to be a very, very close game between both of them. I would say a draw, really, to be fair, but I think we come on the podcast and we always say that Drogheda might get a draw out of it, or they might go in and get a win. But I've always said never underestimate the underdogs, but the way that Bohemians are playing at the moment, especially with the quality of Devoy and Tierney, I think is very unpredictable at the moment. So I think the way that I'm looking at it at the moment, never rule out Drogheda winning this game, but it wouldn't be surprising if Bohemians carry on that winning streak and go on and beat Drogheda. So I think Bohemians win for me.
Pedro, from your lens, is there a favorite for this game, or it's safer to bet on a draw?
No, I don't think so. I think Bulls they are going there with a mission to keep on the title race, and at least to try to put some more pressure on the top. And I think that's a 2-0 for Bohemians there.
Okay, next one. Derry, Shamrock. So two teams that are in very good form. Maybe 2 months ago, we would say this is for sure a victory for Shamrock. But given the recent results of Derry and the fact that Shamrock needs to travel a good few miles, maybe it won't be as easy as it would be a couple of months back, John.
There's only 5 points between these two sides, so not quite a cigarette piece, but pretty much very close. I'm going to go 1-0 to Shamrock. I think they'll just about edge it. We've talked endlessly now tonight about their quality, but Derry are not to be underestimated either. As I mentioned earlier, they seem to be incrementally getting better by the week under Tiernan Lynch. So I don't think they'll put themselves to shame or anything like that. I think they'll put in a valiant display against Rovers, but they just, unfortunately, because I'm no fan of Shamrock Rovers, but they just look to be the superior side at the moment, and I think they will widen the gap from 5 to 8 points and win 1-0.
Cornell, do you think is another 3 points for Rovers, or they can be happy keeping Derry 5 points behind?
I think Shamrock Rovers will be looking for another win because of the form that they've been in this season. Has been outstanding. Outstanding performances from Burke, who's been on fire, obviously, and Aaron Greeny, again, who scored his 500th goal for the club, his 5th goal of the season. I think it's just too difficult to really not rule out Shamrock Rovers winning. Derry City have been in very good, decent form. We're seeing Liam Boyce, score goals. We're seeing the pressure not be too much on Michael Duffy as much. So we're seeing the other players get a chance as well to be to step up as well. But Shamrock Rovers, I think, with the form of the likes of Burke and the likes of Byrne and Greeny as well, and Michael Noonan at 16 years of age, and Josh Houlihan, obviously, I think at the back as well, and Lee Grace. I think it's just too difficult to really roll out Shamrock Rovers winning. So I think Shamrock Rovers will win this game. I think they'll win 2-0 against Derry, and I think Shamrock Rovers will extend their lead at the top of the League of Ireland table and go on and really make a huge difference this season.
Pedro, would you share the same perspective as the lads?
I would like to see things turning a bit exciting, so I would go for a scoreless draw between the two of them, and get things a bit more intense on the top. For some reason, I have the feeling that Shamrock might struggle in Brandywell, and I go for a 0-0.
Now switching to the game in Inchicore, Pats are hosting Waterford tomorrow. Big game for both teams, I would say. Pressure on both sides, John.
It's two sides that could do with a win, and two sides that are, I would say, susceptible to a loss, given current form. Pats should win this fairly convincingly, but it's the League of Ireland. You just do not know this season. That being said, I do think Pats will have enough tonight. And this night, they beat Cork City just a week before, and Waterford and Cork seem to be in. Well, Waterford are 8 points clear of us, but I suppose we seem to be in a somewhat similar place. So I will go for here. I think Pats will win 2-0 tomorrow night in Inchicore.
Coronel, I think we never know what to expect from Waterford. At least that has been my conclusion from the conversations we have here every week. And Pats, they have been, at least at home, they have been strong. Now they are struggling away, but the home form is not as worrying as it is the away. Can they take advantage of playing at home to get back in shape?
Yeah, St. Pat's need to take advantage of this when they play Waterford tomorrow. They have to bounce back tomorrow. They have to respond. I want to see the players, especially the front three, the front four. I want to see them responding. I want to see the Mulaney's really getting back to his best. I want to see Zebedee getting back to his best, the Powers and the Aidan McKinnon. I want to see them. Not just only the front three, the front four. I want to see the whole players, Mason Media, really showing his true young talent and his gifted class. Really, I want to see him doing that. Tomorrow. I want to see Joe Redmond stepping up the plate, Breslin stepping up the plate. The whole team in this St. Pat's team, I want to see them stepping up against Waterford. Waterford, who have had 6 wins this season. John Coleman has just been on fire since becoming the Waterford manager. And it's not going to be easy because he's helped to get the best out of the likes of Longeran and the best of Almond as well, who's scoring goals for fun. Absolutely, despite that they've got more goal contribution, 12 goal contributions amongst them in 5 matches, right? They are on fire. But obviously, St. Pat's, honestly, for me personally, they have to step it up tomorrow. They cannot afford to go into this game at their home ground. Yes, they've won twice, at home. At home, they are unstoppable. But I want them to take that confidence into their away games this season. But at home, at Richmond Park, it's never easy going there. It is difficult going there. And it's very, very hard to play. But they need to take advantage of on home soil. They have to take advantage of that, because if they don't take advantage of that, they are going to be in serious trouble. And Stephen Kenny is probably going to be on the verge of probably thinking, well, his job is in danger if he doesn't really respond. So I expect St. Pat's to win against Waterford, but Waterford are gonna make it tough for St. Pat's. They're going to test their defense. They're going to get at them and hurt them in so many ways. I want to see Aidan McKinnon scoring goals. I want to see Aidan McKinnon getting back to his best and really finding a way to get back to being the top scorer that we always know. I want to see Jake Mulaney really taking on and hurting defenders, just like Zebedee, just like Sam Power. I want to see Mason Media really showing them St. Pat's fans that he is the next generation, that he can score goals and make things happen, and really show Tottenham what he's going to be about when he moves there next in the new year. I want to see Mason Mealy do that. I want to see their midfield really dominating and really making so much, amends in that St. Pat's team. But this is a must-win game for St. Pat's, and this is a must-win for Stephen Kenny. This is the opportunity for Stephen Kenny to really showcase his dominance. Being the most dominant manager, in League of Ireland history. Won more League of Ireland titles, than Stephen Bradley, to be precise. This is the opportunity for him to really make a huge difference, and St. Pat's. So it's not going to be easy against Waterford. Waterford's going to give him a hard game, as I said, but this has to go. This is a must-win for St. Pat's for me.
Pedro, your thoughts on this game?
I just think Cornell just said it all. It's the bounce back that needs to be taken from the Pats. So I would say it's a 3-1 for Pats.
Now we have Shelbourne Sligo, which, in my understanding, at the start of the season, we all would agree that it's for sure a win for Sligo, for Shelbourne. But given that Shelbourne only won one game out of the last 8, maybe we cannot be that sure, John.
I'm going to quote a good Portuguese TikToker here. I don't know, are you familiar with FC Wonderkid? I'm going to go bold here, lads. I'm going to go bold. I actually think Sligo will win this 2-1. I actually think Sligo will win 2-1. Shelbourne are just out of form at the moment. Like Vitor, you said it exactly. At the start of the season, this would have been like very common sense stuff, but at this stage now, it's really not. Sligo are starting to pick up a little bit of a run of form away from home, particularly, and Shells just seem to be deteriorating. So, more so out of strength for confidence in Sligo rather than a lack of confidence in Shelbourne, I'm going for a 2-1 win. Now, I will say I hope I'm wrong, because Cork's rivals at the moment, well, some people will kill me there for saying Cork City, Jamali, their rivals are where rivals are kind of Shelbourne right now, Sligo right now. So it would be bad for us if I'm right, but I do actually see that happen. I just have a feeling Sligo are going to snatch a win 2-1.
Yeah, it has to be an awkward season for us, John, to cheer for Shelbourne, no? In a game.
Yeah.
That's really awkward, but it is what it is. Survival speaks louder than anything else. So what to do? Cornell, how do you see this game without having skin on the game, like myself and John?
How I see the game going is Shelbourne are out of form this season. They haven't been at their best this season because of the lack of winning mentality that they are lacking. Damien Duff, things going on and off the pitch at the present moment with what's going on. Obviously injuries haven't really helped Shelbourne because they're missing Sean Boyd's goals. Obviously, they were dominating and making things happen and stuff like that. And we're seeing it, but there's just something not right about Shelbourne, and I think that needs to be resolved in the summer transfer window. But this game, I think this is a must-win game for Shelbourne, and I think Shelbourne will go into this. I mean, look, we don't want to be underestimating Sligo Rovers. They are picking up absolute wicked form. You're seeing Owen Eldon really terrorize defenders. He will be at his absolute best tomorrow against Shelbourne. He will go to and throw at Shelbourne's defense, and he will find ways to hurt them. Jay Hackey will do the same thing, absolutely, on 2 players that have been on wicked form this season and really showcase their talents. As for Shelbourne, they are missing Sean Boyd. Like I said, they are absolutely missing him to bits, especially how he really, really contributes to Shelbourne's attack in that final third. Wooden and Martin have really tried their hardest. Odebeko, he's scoring a few goals, but we want to see more from Odebeko. Odebeko is a fantastic striker. We all know how brilliant he is, but he needs to raise his game more and really start showing that he can be the player that can score goals with or without Sean Boyd. But again, Salogo are not to be underestimated because of the form that they are really picking up, and it's going to be very, very difficult, to really underestimate and keep them down. So I think for me, this is why I said that I think it's going to be a very, very close game. So it wouldn't be surprising. I want to say it's going to be a draw between both teams, but I think Salogo will find a way to go on and nick it. So I think Salogo might go on and win, but I think this is a must win for Shelburne.
So far we have two different predictions: a draw and a win for the visitors. Pedro, what about you? From which angle do you see this game?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with John on this one. We talked about managerial pressure, and I think at this point in time and reading what is going on, I think Duffer will for sure add more pressure at the moment than actually Kenny will have. So I think there's a lot of pressure going on at Shelburne at the moment. And obviously this is important for them, that they will somehow try to get out of this situation. And when you get into this point, sometimes you have the tendency to put way too much pressure, more than you should, and things just get overcomplicated. So my prediction for this game is 1-0 for Sligo.
Wow. So
I think they will nick this. I think they will nick this opportunity, and they will put more pressure on Shelburne.
Yeah, the future doesn't look bright for the Shells, it seems. Last game, Galway Cork. Galway is going down the hill. Cork probably I cannot say anything different, though there are some managerial changes, and this might result in positive outcome on the pitch. Can I be optimistic with the fresh blood coming from the coach, John, or it's too early to announce that?
Look, there's never anything wrong with being optimistic. So if you want to feel optimistic, absolutely go for it. But what I would say about this game is I don't think a draw is any good for either team, given the circumstances. I just think it's a must-win game, honestly, for both sides, which makes it all the more interesting. Galway are in a fight to have an outstanding season, I would say. They are in really poor form at the moment, but they did have a good start. I mean, they weren't not so long ago. They were actually top of the league, and now a few games later they're down to 8th. So it's still possible that they could have an outstanding season and get 5th, 6th, 4th. That would be great for them. But if they were to lose this game, I think it would really set them back. So that's why it's an important one. And look, as for City, it's literally never mind us having an exceptional season. It's a case of survival, keeping your head above water. So that's why every game from now until the end of the season is really important for us. So I think it's going to be honest. It's I was actually at the last Galway City game at home in Turner's Cross, and it was a good game, close game. I think actually Cork were a bit unlucky to not win it, to be honest. But I'm gonna go for. It's a tough one, but as I said, I don't think does any side any favors. But I'm going to go for a 0-0 draw, even though that doesn't do. I don't think either side would be happy with that, particularly, given the circumstances.
Cornell, where would you put your money on this game?
My money is going to go on Cork City, because Cork City deserve a win. They deserve to get all 3 points tomorrow against a Galway side that has been in amazing form and what went on an unbeaten run and were the only team that was unbeaten throughout this new season. For me, Cork City is an opportunity for Cork City to really raise their game tomorrow. You've got Daniels, who can really influence the game and can really cause defenses so much problems going forward and have an absolute wicked presence going forward. So I think obviously I can understand where John's coming from. He probably feels that maybe a draw is probably ideal, but I think it's time to be optimistic for Cork City this season. I mean, yes, I know it's difficult without no Keating in the team. I know it sucks and it's not the best sort of way to go about it, but I feel like Cork City can really come into this game with so much high expectations. You've got Cathy O'Sullivan as the next generation. You've got Daniels, who I do believe that will sign a permanent deal after his temporary, deal finishes. And I think he will really make a huge difference on the Cork City team. You got Sean Maguire, who's coming back from injury. I know that maybe Nash is probably going to look at him and probably not take too many risks with him. Probably play him in certain games and probably say, well, okay, if he can't play that game, sit him out. And then there's other games. But I think this is the chance for Maguire to really showcase himself as a striker as well and link up well with Daniels. I think Greg Bolger as well being back in the team, I think is obviously important as well for them. Yeah, Galway United will obviously want to come in and win this game and try and get a result after they lost their game. But I think this is going to go in Cork City's favour. So my predictions for this game is definitely a Cork City win.
Pedro, your prediction for this one, please.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say. I think for this one as well, I'm going to go with Cornell. I think from the last 5 games, both teams are the ones that produce less points. Galway is the one that has the worst run of form for the last 5 games. So it's really the game of the last, really, between the two of them. But I think Cork City will have the tonic of the new manager. And yes, Greg is back. Shout out to Greg. He is an absolute legend. Greg is an absolute legend of League of Ireland. Is brilliant man, good lad as well. I really hope that Cork win this game and help them, because if Sligo really wins at Shells, then it starts to become complicated. So I'm going to go with the faith with this one. So I would say 2-0 for Cork City.
Fingers crossed, Pedro. Fingers crossed, guys. So with this game, we come to the end. I want to thank you, Cornell, again for being here every week. Right? You have been here every week. You didn't miss not even one session. So I think you provide a lot of value. So I'm looking forward to see you here next week again. John,
yes.
you will be sharing the cross till the end of the season. And see the pain. I mean, the pain, but hopefully it won't be as bad as it was a couple of years back. So hope I can see in one of the games in Turner's Cross or here in Dublin. So yeah, hope that will happen. Pedro, it's good to have you here for the second time. The door, as I said last time, it's open, so you can always return. Just knock and say a couple of words.
Yes, as long as I have the time for it, I really like it. And I think, and to be honest, I have to give credit to you guys, because it's nice to have people like yourselves to just trying to give a bit more of voice to the League of Ireland. I don't think League of Ireland has that enough voice, and I think it's really nice that you have, and especially because I think Cornell, I think you were asking, obviously you are not Irish either, so it's really nice to see that someone is also non-Irish, that it's also so passionate about the League of Ireland. It's really cool to see, and it really warms my heart to see that there's so many people out there that actually enjoy the league. Obviously, John, you're a Cork boy, so obviously good man yourself. Pleasure to talk to you, and I think it's very good knowledge as well about what's going on, and it's really nice to see that there are people that can just sit down for 2 hours straight and talk about League of Ireland, and add something so much to add to the table and to the conversation. It's really appreciate that.
Yeah, we do this every Thursday, Pedro, every Thursday. It's always around 90 minutes or more. So I think we discussed this offline, that I would like to set up something within my channel for the League of Ireland.
So do my training sessions. I don't know. This week actually I didn't have one, so this we had a week off. So that's why I'm available this Thursday. But I'm sure that during off season we can for sure do some more.
Yeah, we'll be here waiting for you. For me, it's a pleasure to be immersed in local and Irish culture. I think it's something I should give back to a country that provided me with so much. I think I
know the
owe a
feeling.
lot to Ireland, so I try to give back as much as I can, at least to the best of my ability. So, guys, if you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to be with us next Thursday at the same time, 7 p.m. The best way to not miss the upcoming episodes is to subscribe, press that bell, and if you have fun with the content, please award us a thumbs up. And if you know someone who is into this sort of conversations about the Ring of Ireland and football as such, it would be great if you can share. So I hope to see you all of you next Thursday 7 p.m. and I wish everyone a fantastic evening. Take care, guys.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
Thanks very much,
Thank
guys.
you.
See you next
Bye.
time. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks, guys.